Undercover CEO found a cashier skipping lunch to feed her baby. Sometimes, the strongest people are the ones nobody notices. The ones who keep smiling while silently carrying the heaviest burdens. It all began on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. Daniel Harris, a successful CEO of one of the country's largest supermarket chains, was walking through the aisles of one of his own stores, but no one knew who he was. Disguised in a simple polo shirt and jeans, Daniel had been working undercover for weeks, determined to understand the lives of his employees, not from an office, but from the ground level where real struggles unfolded. His attention was caught by a young woman at the checkout counter. Her name tag read Emily. She was in her early 20s, her dark hair pulled back in a loose ponytail, her uniform slightly wrinkled from rushing. Yet what stood out the most wasn't her appearance, it was her demeanor. She smiled at every customer, greeted each one warmly, and treated them as though they mattered, even when some didn't treat her the same. Daniel noticed something else. While other employees rotated for lunch breaks, Emily never seemed to take hers. She'd brush it off, saying she wasn't hungry, or she'd step aside for just a few minutes with a small bottle she carried in her bag. Curiosity gnawed at him. Why would someone skip every lunch, every day? The answer came one evening. As Daniel was leaving the store, he saw Emily sitting quietly in the break room, carefully pouring milk from her bottle into a smaller container. Beside her, a stroller with a tiny baby was tucked in the corner. Her little girl stirred, hungry. Emily lifted her daughter into her arms and gently fed her, whispering lullabies while rocking her back to sleep. Daniel froze at the doorway, watching silently. Suddenly, everything made sense. She wasn't skipping meals because she wasn't hungry, she was skipping them because every extra dollar she earned, every piece of food she could save, was going to her baby. She would rather go hungry than let her daughter suffer. The realization hit Daniel deeply. He had built his empire on the idea of family values and community care. But here was one of his own cashiers, fighting a silent battle every day just to survive. Over the next few weeks, Daniel quietly observed her. Emily worked tirelessly, always on time, never complaining, always giving her best. Yet he noticed her shoes were worn thin, her hands chapped from long hours, and the faint signs of exhaustion she tried to hide. Customers came and went without knowing the weight she carried. But Daniel saw it. One afternoon, after a particularly busy rush, Daniel struck up a casual conversation with her. "You never take your lunch breaks," he said softly. Emily smiled, faintly, brushing it off. "I guess I just don't have much of an appetite lately." But Daniel looked at her eyes, the kind that told a different story. "You're a mother, aren't you?" he asked gently. Her eyes widened, startled. Slowly, she nodded, her guard breaking. "Yes, my baby's only 8 months. Her father, he left before she was born. I'm all she has." She paused, as if embarrassed to admit the truth. "I try to give her everything I can. That means sometimes I go without." Daniel's heart sank. He had come undercover to see how his stores functioned, but instead, he had discovered a story that pierced through all the numbers, profits, and corporate reports. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Emily, the quiet strength she showed, the sacrifices she made, and the silent courage that no one applauded. He thought of his own mother, who had raised him alone after his father died, often skipping meals herself just so he could eat. For the first time in years, Daniel felt like that scared little boy again, remembering how invisible his mother's sacrifices had been to the world. The next day, Daniel made a decision. At the end of Emily's shift, he asked her to stay behind for a short meeting. Nervously, she agreed, thinking maybe she had made a mistake at work. But when she entered the small office, Daniel took a deep breath, removed his disguise, and revealed the truth. "Emily," he said, "my name is Daniel Harris. I'm the CEO of this company." Her jaw dropped. She almost laughed, thinking it was a joke. But as he continued, she realized it was true. "I've been working undercover to understand the lives of the people who make this company possible. And in doing so, I found something far more important than sales or reports. I found you. I saw your sacrifices. I saw your strength, and I cannot let it go unnoticed." Emily's eyes filled with tears. I don't understand," she whispered. Daniel leaned forward. "You are an inspiration. You remind me of my own mother, who gave everything for me. Because of her, I'm here today. And because of you, your daughter will grow up knowing what it means to be loved beyond measure." Then, Daniel slid a folder across the table. Inside was an offer letter for a higher paying position in the company, along with benefits that included childcare support, healthcare, and flexible scheduling. On top of that, there was a scholarship fund set up in her baby's name, ensuring that when she grew up, education would never be out of reach. Emily gasped, covering her mouth as tears streamed down her face. Why? Why would you do this for me? She asked. Daniel smiled softly. Because the world needs to see what real strength looks like. And because no mother should ever have to choose between feeding herself and feeding her child. You've already proven your worth not just as an employee, but as a human being who refuses to give up. Now it's my turn to give back. Emily sobbed, clutching the folder as if it were the most precious gift she had ever received. That night, when she held her baby close, she whispered, "Things are going to change for us. Mummy's not alone anymore." From that day forward, Emily's life took a new direction. With the support she had been given, she flourished not just as an employee, but as a mother and as a woman who inspired others with her resilience. Her story spread quietly through the company, becoming a symbol of what it meant to care for people, not just profits. And Daniel, he walked away from the experience forever changed. He had always believed in leadership, but now he understood the true heart of it. Leadership wasn't about being the boss, it was about noticing the unseen, lifting up the overlooked, and shining light on the silent sacrifices that make the world better. Final message. Sometimes the heroes aren't the ones in the spotlight. They're the cashiers skipping lunch, the mothers going without, the fathers working 2 jobs, the people who sacrifice quietly every day. Their strength is what keeps the world turning. And when someone notices, when someone chooses to lift them up, lives are transformed forever.